This is Cruelty Squad. The first time I booted this thing up, it reminded me of a Source Engine's missing object placeholder. You know, the one that just says error in big bright red neon font. Like the one that if you look at too much you'll develop long-term eye problems. Well, they made that into a whole game, and it's called Cruelty Squad. And I gotta say, it's kind of worth the eye strain. It's a fast-paced first-person shooter, and from what I can tell, it only has one developer. Now, this would be the crux of many a game stuck in development hell, but Cruelty Squad turns this into a positive. This comes together in the game's unique style. I described it to one of my friends as a complete deconstruction of modern video game visuals. Like, what do walls look like? Is this an appropriate texture for a door? How many polygons are people made of? Whereas modern video games try to simulate life as realistically as possible, Cruelty Squad just embraces fanatical derealization. You know what those shapes are meant to represent, but you get uncomfortable just looking at them. The world is familiar, yet so alien. One could argue that it's a simplification of the game environment. You know this is a building, the floor is below you and the ceiling above. So why do you need textures to represent that too? This is clearly a fan. You know the shape and the movement. This is grass, this is glass. Now, I have no idea if any of this is what the developer was actually going for, or if they just chose all those textures randomly from stock. All we know is this is the end product. Cruelty Squad honestly reminds me of those old school FPSs where the movement system could be exploited because the game engines were so simple that moving diagonally was somehow faster than moving straight. Whereas most modern games will stop you from walking off a cliff with an invisible barrier, Cruelty Squad will just let you fall through the map if you fuck around. It's a speedrunner's wet dream. You can enhance your character with gorilla legs and gunk boosters and move through the map at Mach 20. Your only real objective is to assassinate a guy, so if you bee-hop to his office, kick him into the stratosphere and bee-hop back, you'll get paid in full. There's a counter for how many enemies and civilians you kill, but I couldn't tell if the game was encouraging you to kill more or less. Like, why are you telling me there's 64 civilians on this cruise ship? Must I go and kill them? Again, kind of like any old school game, it doesn't really hold your hand. It puts you into this fever dream world and you have to get yourself out. Or further in. That's a good enough segue to talk about the setting of Cruelty Squad. It's set in some dystopian nightmare where corporations rule the world and the products you consume are your whole identity. The wealth gap between rich and poor has become insurmountable and everyone is on drugs. Anyway, the genre is something I've recently come to understand as biopunk, which is kinda like cyberpunk, but instead of cool new mechanical eyes, you breed a subspecies of humans to see the world in 4D, and you surgically extract and replace your own eyes with them. This is best exemplified in the game's stock market, where you can trade shares, rare fish species, and organs. This thing's a bit of a meme. You can borrow organs from people you kill, but only after you eat them. This means you can make a lot of money just killing people and selling their insides, like Forex. Now, I don't know if this is a mechanic or not, but when I bought about a war crime's worth of kidneys, the stock price plummeted for the rest of my playthrough, which would be a weird and cruel kind of mechanic, but a kind of hilarious one too, if whatever stock you bought just dived. Your character is described as a weird, depressed psychopath, and it would make them only more relatable if they were a Reddit Wall Street's Bets day trader too. Whatever the case is, if you do manage to make some cash, you can then use the money to buy a wide range of biological implants, like a rain hat, or an ammunition manufacturing organ. There's a house you can buy too, and eyes that let you predict the stock market, and a utility belt. This is all just in one menu, each is an icon you can just click on. Like bam, I just bought grenades, and an intestinal grappling hook. Maybe this is a metaphor for Amazon. Probably not. I guess that's a good segue to talk about the menus. Again, it's that same sort of deconstruction of modern video games. Popular games make everything so ergonomic and intuitive that a Hungarian baby could still navigate a menu just based on how big and bright the start button is. Cruelty Squad just kinda lets you figure out what is a button and what isn't. I got a good laugh out of the rating system's UI. The first couple of levels I completed, I didn't really notice that I was being graded. Like, I got a C here. It's just somebody's gut. Or a worm? The A looks normal. And then this, I think is the best score. This is the one I got from speed hopping through a swamp. I can't pronounce that. Now, I only really have one gripe with this game, and it's the sound design. The music could have been something equally offensive as the visuals, but instead they went for this kind of out-of-sync tune. It's disturbing, but it's pretty bland comparatively. But I guess nothing short of dubstep Beethoven would have matched the tone of Cruelty Squad. Lowering of the pitch of your weapons as they run low on ammo is a nice touch. Maybe a rapidly increasing metronome chiptune, the lower your health gets, would have been more appropriate than this. There are some good sounds though, like this guy. How would you use sound to illustrate to your audience that an enemy is tough? How about deep fried mechanical malfunction? Perfect. Needless to say, Cruelty Squad is not for everyone. It takes some time to get used to the visuals, but it's a lot of fun, and there's a lot to unlock. I got a funny feeling it's a cult classic in the making. Invest now on the ground floor. Don't miss out. This is an exciting opportunity for net gains. And remember, making eye contact with the corporocratic archdemon of profit is a federal sin. Thanks for watching.